And we're back in the second part. And Harry becoming a goblin kind of played less of a part in the film. The only times we see him often is when he chased Peter Parker for when he still accused him for killing Norman Osborn. Of course, as in the second film that Harry and Mary Jane now found who Spider-Man really was. As Harry being the first amongst us, between him and MJ. and and the times he chased Peter Parker on the night time after Pete's visit with Aunt May. Then he only showed up as what they call he only showed up again like that for like 5 seconds trying to threaten MJ after his memories came back, seeing his father in the mirror inside the mirror playing in his head. And then he only fought Pete it not as a new goblin, but this time with his three-pronged blades mounted on his arms, and Pete donning of the black-suited Spidey. And the other time was when he, now knowing how his father died, knowing that Osborn, knowing that Pete was telling the truth that he didn't kill him deliberately, what he wasn't who deliberately killed him. Harry now decides to help in the final battle, but died. I'm sure I'm sure it's already been 6 years since we bought this film, so I'm going to say this now: is that Harry died in the same way his father did, being hit by a glider. But different from that is that Osborn was trying to hit Spidey with the glider, but he jumped, but failed to save Norman from that. Venom was about to. Harry's about to use the blades to hit Venom, but Venom jumped, scoffed the glider from him, and then Harry was about to gain his confidence, seeing Venom was about to hurl the glider with the blades activated to hit Spidey, but Harry took the hit instead. But instead of being hit through the abdomen, it's actually through his lungs, which instantly, I think that losing all the oxygen he has inside might have instantly let him die, which led to the entire trilogy course of Harry Osborn which led the entire trilogy story of Harry Osborn from life to death to end it that way in the film. And originally it was true in the originated story of the comics, like how the carjacker, which was which was now revealed in this name as Dennis Carradine by Captain Stacy, says that he was Ben Parker's killer. True in the comics, but this film decided to make it more of a dramatic element. How they chased him the fact that Flip Marko was the one who killed Ben Parker instead, so that making it look like that Peter Parker chased him for make it look like that Pete chased Carradine for nothing, and Flip Marko still remains on the loose, but becoming powerful enough to manipulate all grains of sand, which kind of frustrates Peter Parker because because all his life he wanted to kill the ones responsible for killing anybody related to his family, until May Parker revealed that vengeance could relate to becoming a freak, but until May Parker revealed that Ben didn't want anybody avenging him because vengeance could relate to becoming a freak, as she explained what he had became. A theory of which Venom bought into a theory of what would happen if Venom did to take over his body. And heck, Venom means poison, and heck, Venom does mean poison, either in Latin or something. And when Spidey kissed Gwen in the Key to the City, he knows what MJ was talking about in the restaurant, he wasn't aware she was talking about the Key to the City thing when he kissed Gwen. And MJ was only furious, and MJ grew furious about whenever it comes to any girls touching Spidey's kiss to her, which kind of frustrates her too much. Which I kind of feel like which Peter could at least, my advice for Pete is to look back at the Key to the City, and he could reveal why he did that. But instead, she just walked off without him trying to explain. But the relationship, I think, I'm not so sure if they have come back to if they've come back to it or not, in the ending of the third film, because when I saw them, because when I saw them dance, MJ was already hit into tears. I think because of Harry's death. Yes. And Brock in particular, his vengeance on Peter Parker, his vengeance on Spider-Man was too strong, and thus Venom had to choose him. But speaking of which, you know how his suit was spun? You know that his suit was actually bonded by the symbiote instead of his whole body. That means his suit is already gone. His suit is already gone into Brock instead when it bonded into him. Well, I mean by that, this suit, once Venom bonded into him, the suit is actually the only thing bonded instead of his whole body. So when he tried to get rid of the symbiote, the suit wasn't free from it. It's actually it already grew with it, and thus Brock donned it on, kind of turning into a twisted appearance. Originally, I thought, like in the cartoons, you have different vocals with Venom, but actually, Topher Grace's vocals are still speaking into it, even if it's the Venom face right here, and especially when it opens to show Brock's face, it's still it's still the regular Topher Grace Venom, even in the Venom face. Nice. And one thing I did not know is that MJ would have lost her career as for Broadway, but only because she has a small pitch vocals. Even though I didn't think it was a small pitch vocals, but how could it have been? But one thing I don't get, how could it have been a small pitch vocals? Well, but what the heck? She's an outcast of that show and been replaced by another woman who's now become singing that same song. As she did in the beginning of the film. And one of Sam Raimi's directors, the director Sam Raimi's his colleagues named Bruce Campbell showed up so many times in a row in the film, only to collaborate with Tobey Maguire's character, only to collaborate with Tobey Maguire 3 times. One time in the first film, Campbell played the ring announcer talking to Peter Parker. The second film, he played a snooty usher at the front of the Broadway entry, where he couldn't let Peter Parker in. This film, he's in it as one of the restaurant leads. It's something called the maitre d' or something. However you pronounce it, however you pronounce that word. He said is one of that trying to do a reservation request for Peter Parker. The most repetitive thing is Bruce Campbell's character has to collaborate with Tobey Maguire, has to collaborate with Peter Parker, the same Peter Parker with the same actor playing 3 different roles at a time. And wasn't aware that there's a possibly called a staff job for photographers in the Bugle. What the heck? But I have a feeling there is. I did not know Jameson eventually evolved to becoming more like a morph, and Jameson kind of evolved more of a furious role. Well, and Peter Parker and Pete kind of played sarcastically charming to every girl's ills in New York. He went up to Ursula when he phone called Dr. Connors, as of whom revealed that Venom can instantly increase his violence and can instantly increase his too much violence, and then to Betty Brant, and then to every girl's in New York. Then he kind of played too much crazy in the nightclub. Yeah. And I think, let me think. And kind of how like how Batman in the Batman Begins in the Dark Knight, his black suit, he only dons this in night times, while he dons this in any possible daylight. Right. And yeah.